Hi, I'm Nick Shell with Family Friendly Daddy Blog. I've got a question for you today. Did Jesus teach emotional intelligence? Now, if you watch my videos, you know that I talk about this a lot. So much of my philosophy on life is based on emotional intelligence, which I learned while taking an HR course. But let's look at, as far as emotional intelligence, what I've got to do. I've got a little side-by-side that I printed out on this piece of paper that I want to read real quick, just to show you kind of what emotional intelligence is about. Because the easiest way for me to break it down is, there are victims in the world and there are victors in the world, at least psychologically, okay? There are people, and you know the people, there are certain people who always see themselves as a victim all the time. And then there's other people who don't really ever seem to have that issue. And my whole theory is, a lot of that choice is yourself. You get to decide how much of a victim you are, no matter what happens to you, or you get to be victorious. Because we can even think back to Joseph in the Bible. Remember how he had to go to prison for something he didn't even do? And you see so many times when people in the Bible overcame these horrible things and great things came out of them. They didn't see themselves as victims, and God had grace on them and they got out of it. But when we look at, I'm thinking right now of the teachings of Jesus. And it's interesting because people who even don't believe he was the Son of God will still say, well, he was a good teacher. And so why do they say that? Well, as I read through this list, I think you'll kind of see how this, in my opinion, perfectly reflects what Jesus taught his followers. So here's my side-by-side, victors versus victims. Okay, check this out. So a victor, someone who's victorious, makes a point to compliment others all the time. They're looking for a way to compliment others. Meanwhile, a victim is going to find a way to criticize others. Okay, now, again, think about the way Jesus taught. Think about how followers of Christ should live their lives. I see how that matches up. Someone who's victorious, they embrace change. They're okay with it. But meanwhile, a victim fears change. A victor forgives others, but a victim holds grudges. That's obviously very Jesus-y, isn't it? Someone who's victorious is always learning, yet someone who's a victim thinks they already know everything. A victor accepts responsibility for their failures, yet a victim blames others for their failures. A victor has a sense of gratitude, yet a victim has a sense of entitlement. And lastly, a victim sets goals and develops plans. A victim never sets goals. So as I've read through that briefly, I mean, wouldn't you have to agree with me that Jesus was teaching this the whole time? Like, this is emotional intelligence was something Jesus was teaching people. Even if you make it as something as simple as forgiveness. Obviously, that's a very Christian thing. The Bible, the Christian Bible, is filled with the importance of forgiving others, not holding grudges. And even if from a non-Christian or a non-spiritual perspective, I mean, isn't that common sense though? That if you hold grudges your whole life against people, that you're not going to be as happy and not go as far in life as compared to the person who lets it go and forgives that person, releases them of that, and therefore releases themselves. Like even right now, I'm being chased by a UPS truck, right? But I'm not mad at him. He's doing his job, right? So even if he kind of altered my video a little bit, that's okay. I'm not mad at him. I'm not saying, ooh, that stupid truck. No, he's just doing his thing. He's working hard, doing his job. So I think Jesus definitely taught emotional intelligence indirectly through everything he did. I feel like every teaching I've ever seen him read about goes back to emotional intelligence. This is just a theory, but out of these ones that I've read, I don't think anyone can argue that, I mean, that complimenting others, embracing change, forgiving others, always learning, accepting responsibility for failures, having a sense of gratitude, setting goals and developing plans, I don't see how anyone could hear those things and think that's not the kind of thing that Jesus taught. Meanwhile, I don't think anyone would think that Jesus taught to criticize others, to fear change, to hold grudges, to think that they already know everything, to blame others for their failures, to not have that they should have a sense of entitlement, and that they should never set goals. I don't think Jesus taught that at all. If you if you decide which side of the fence is falling, I think it's 100% easily Jesus was teaching emotional intelligence before that was even a word that I could even put in the title of this video. Please let me know your opinion on this. Leave a comment on it. This is a theory. I can't prove this, but I'm presenting this to the world because I don't think anyone has ever made this connection before, that Jesus taught emotional intelligence. Prove me right, prove me wrong, put in the comments. Let's talk about this. I'm here to learn. And you know why? Because on my list it says, a victor is always learning.